Today I'm welcoming back my favorite guest, pianist, composer, and writer Mark Christopher Brandt, to discuss his wonderful new album, Joy. Joy is an album of music for the Joyful Mysteries, sung by Mark and his three daughters, Shawnee, Co, and Rita, with Mark playing piano. For each of the mysteries, there's a different setting of the Hail Mary, followed by a setting of the gospel text related to that mystery.
Having finished the album, I know for a fact that God had it all laid out for me to do this with my daughters. And they were not there when I was composing. The path towards this completed project was just one step after another, ultimately ending up towards all of us doing this together. And they weren't even, two of them weren't even born when I started composing the music. So I didn't even think of this.
Ave Maria, Ave Maria, plena Dominus tecum, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Jesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen.
So you're a musician. Obviously, your daughters inevitably grew up around music, hearing music that would stretch their ears, and they're singing these things that are really require good ears to sing on this album.
Yes.
The harmonies, the melodic intervals they have to jump. And is there like a background of like private family music making that had been going on as they grew up?
It's an evolution. I really wish they could talk to you about that. They each had very powerful personal conversion stories. They were already daily communicants and they pray, but conversion is, heroic. We're into heroic virtue and heroic conversion, so we're never comfortable. We don't want to be complacent. So they have great stories of how they were breaching, personal fears and fighting temptations about whether they could cut it or not, or whether they were good enough, or just all kinds of things, because they've never done anything at this level and never done anything professional. Not especially Co and Rita. They had never been in the studio. They had no idea what that was like, and they like you said, they grew up with it. So I really think that it was it's just the fact that we're so in love with each other, to be perfectly honest with you. And I've taught them about music all their life. And I taught them about the difference in good music and bad music. You're a jazz musician. Duke Ellington said that. There's good music and bad music. He didn't qualify it as moral or immoral. There's good music and there's bad music.
Right.
So for me, I just didn't have music in the house with suggestive or bad lyrics. It just wasn't, I wasn't going to go there. I wasn't going to have that, because I didn't want to be the one that introduced them to that part of the world or that part of the pop culture. So I introduced them to instrumental music and taught them how to sing the different instruments. And on occasion, there would be singers on there. And when they were young, as they got older, then I started to slowly introduce them to songs from my childhood or my years in the pop scene, things like Elton John or the Eagles, but it was all about the harmonies and singing. And we would split the Bee Gees. There's a lot of groups out there that, although some people have different things to say about each of those groups as to how, good they are. As an artist, I wanted them to understand the difference in people who compose with their talent and people who are using, suggestive lyrics to get people to buy the album, or gimmicks. And so the groups that I listened to and liked, they weren't that way. So at a certain point in time, I left the pop culture for the jazz world and the classical world. And at the point that I left, the music was at a peak in the pop world where there was really great writing and great performers, and there was as many or more good musicians and great players as there were, dirty or suggestive or lousy or not worth listening to. So the transition out for me was because of the depth that the other music offered. When I started raising them, and I would find songs that were not dangerous to their conscience, and I would show them those things. Maybe they told a story, or it was a folk tune, and it would have great harmonies, and we would all harmonize together. And that became a thing we would do, is driving in the car, harmonizing, I'd sing a note, they would add one on, and we would try to make something blend from that. So it was just kind of just an osmosis and a process of life. And like I said, I think the operative thing there is just how much we loved being together and loved singing together. We loved doing everything together. So I think that's how it happened. So when I asked them to do it, they were excited to try, and they were, nervous and scared about it too, because they knew that I do this for a living. This isn't a hobby. I'm not just jumping in. I didn't wake up and decide to do this. I've been doing this all my life. They've been in the house with people who are reputable or famous. They've known my track record. And so there was a bit of a pressure for them that didn't exist for me. And so I think that, I think that the way they rose to it was through their prayer and through their Eucharistic life. I think I'm answering the question a really long way, but that's how we got to it. It's just kind of a way of life. And it wasn't ever pressure, Tom. It wasn't, well, you're not singing well, or you don't get it, or you're not. It was always about, let's just blend together and have fun. And I will say, we sang the Salve Regina, the traditional one. That was one of the first songs I taught them, and the Latin, the traditional one. And so we would sing that almost every night as a family. And so that was why I wanted that on there. I wrote one because we all knew the Latin, but I wanted to write one that was for us, that we could work at and craft for Our Lady and share our family love with the Blessed Mother. In the end, that's what the album's about. I actually did everything for Our Lady, and I would like a lot of people to experience it and buy it and have it and love it. But it wasn't a money-making venture. It wasn't for me to break into the scene as a praise singer. I did absolutely everything on this for our Blessed Mother in gratitude for what she's given me with my life. And you think about what my life was to them, like how badly I treated God up to 91. And this is what they've done with me. This is what they give to me. They would do this for everyone. That's how beautiful God is. So that was why I wanted to share my gifts properly with Our Lady, because of how in my first life, as I refer to it, I wouldn't share any of that at all. I was all about me.
In the beginning was the Word was in God's presence, and the Word was God. He was present to God in the beginning, and apart from Him nothing came to be. whatever came to be in him found life. Life for the light of man. The light shines on in darkness, a darkness that did not overcome. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us, and we have seen his glory, the glory of an only Son, coming from the Father. Filled with enduring love, of his fullness we have all had a share. Love following upon love, love following upon love.
I never thought I'm going to do a family album. I never thought I'll do an album with my family and my kids. I never thought that. I didn't have any idea of them being the musicians, and I'm pretty positive that that's what God had in mind.
Right, and you weren't thinking of singing it yourself either at that point.
No, I wanted to, but because I was composing it in my range, but I didn't. That was a human respect thing. I put that in the little thing you're talking about that I wrote on my website, that I just didn't feel qualified. At the time, I was still dealing with the lack of humility or the human respect issue, in that sense of I'm not worthy. So I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I can write this music for you, Lord, but I'm definitely not the one who should sing it. This should be sung by somebody with a really good voice, somebody who's trained and somebody who's been in the church all their life, not somebody like me who's coming in the back door like a charlatan and I'm going to just do this amazing praise album. So, I wasn't giving myself any dignity or self-respect, or I wasn't honoring God really in that sense, because I was looking at it like, okay, I can do this, but I'll give it to someone else because I'm not worthy. There was a person I had picked who was going to actually perform this and record it. So I thought, well, let me get some rehearsals going on this and just see if I'm close to maybe recording this project. So I asked Co and Rita to jump in and do this. And one of the rehearsals, neither of those people could make it. So Co and Rita were here with me, and we had the music, and I thought, well, you know what, let's just go ahead and test the waters here. And I'll sing the parts that he was going to sing, and you guys sing your parts, and let's just see where we're at with all of this. Both of them said, wow, it would be so cool if you sang it. And I thought, well, that's really nice of you. And they said, no, you're like hitting these things great. This is your music. You should sing this. And I said, yeah, but you realize there's somebody already been hired to do this. And they said, yeah, but if that wasn't happening, it would be really cool. And so without any of us doing anything, the other person was unfortunately unable to do it because of college restrictions and things that were coming up and scheduling. Everybody that was in and enthusiastic started saying they had conflicts and couldn't do it. So I started asking Shawnee to come, and Shawnee's always been adventurous, singing for fun and singing things that are high. So basically that's how it happened. I was in and the girls were in and we had no one else. And next thing you know, it was a family project. And I just suddenly started hearing all the music. Anything that wasn't done got done very quickly.